Time, weather, and...
Get away from my truck! Who are you? I don't want to buy truck! Get away!
Case of various...
Requesting permission to land. Permission granted.
Scientology's kryptonite is connection. They focus so hard on disconnection.
Why, Karen?
What's in the Church of Scientology so afraid of?
This is
SPTV.
There really is nothing Scientology can do about this phenomenon.
The Scientology arbitration procedure is merely a witch trial.
Scientologists believe that anyone who criticizes the church is a suppressive person.
Shelley Miscavige is a very real person, and she is very missing.
When you stop people's lives and families, I'll stop too.
Bob Ferris, who's stuck inside gold. So that way you have a better understanding of what I'm working so hard for. The best way I can start this story is my first memory of my dad, and I mean my very first memory, was him taking me to go get a pair of shoes, getting a pair of Converse. They totally didn't fit, but they looked cute, and my dad really wanted to get them for me. As I grew up, I didn't even know my dad's birthday. So all of my information that I have is basically things that have been filled in from my mother, things that have been filled in from his family, and little bits and pieces that he has told me. So my father grew up all over the state of California. The reason I say it's all over the state of California is because his father was a road builder. So if any of you guys know Sacramento at all, or most of Tahoe or anything like that, his father, Ferris, built Highway 50, was part of that team that originally built it. If you look back to the dates that it was built, it matches perfectly with someone that was born in 1950, because he went to Sacramento High School. I didn't know that until, I was well into my 20s. He lived in a very small house. From what I understand, it was like a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom house. There was 7 siblings total. My father is one of 3 boys, and he had 4 sisters. Now, are they all close? Yes, the sisters are extremely close. And the brothers are very, very close. His mother was a nurse, and so she was constantly working 12 to 15-hour shifts. His sisters and family pretty much raised themselves. It was, the oldest sister, Kathy, and then you have, Sue, then you have Nanette, then you have Mary for the girls. You have Charles, which he goes by Charlie. And then you have my father, and then you have the youngest one, Donnie. The whole thing is pretty much this weird collage of memories, and they were brought up together very close, but very poor, very, very poor. Once my dad graduated high school, again, Sacramento High School, or Hiram Johnson, it might've been Hiram Johnson, but I believe it was Sac High. From what I was told, the whole family dynamic changed, because the first thing that my dad did once he graduated high school is he joined the Air Force. He did not go to war. He did not participate in any wars, but he was amazing at rebuilding engines. Like, you stick that man in front of an engine and he can rebuild it from scratch, not even reading any manuals. He just happened to have that kind of brain. So he did his full 5 years in the military, and then he comes out, and whatever happened to him from getting out of the military to joining the Davis branch of the San Francisco org, he basically was like, I'm going to join Scientology. There was no in between. There was no gaps. He basically went from military to staff. So whatever happened, I don't know. And one day I hope to find out. In the process of that, he was at the org or the organization, but they like to call it org, or we call it org, I should say. And so again, it's the organization. For everybody on the outside, it's just a bloody building. You know, it's a Scientology building. He met my mom 5 years into his, basically into his start at the org. He was like the best that you could. My mom makes it sound like he was the best option for a father that was out there. Now, before we go any further, I do want to say my grandma Eloise, when I was 12 years old, told me that my father had been married before my mom had actually met him. So in 75, when my mom met him, or 78, one of those years, because, you know, old people can't seem to remember. And again, not trying to belittle, but bloody hell, how do you not remember the year you met one of your husbands? He supposedly had a daughter. Now, this daughter, for some unbeknownst reason, I've never actually physically met her, but I know I have an older sister out there. Fast forward, or let's rewind back to my parents' meeting. She's thinking that she's the very first wife he's ever had. They get married at my grandparents' house. All of my family is there. So you have over 200 family members from the, without giving too much information, my grandma's maiden name was Castro. So it was a huge group of people, a huge Spanish group of people, and a few of my grandfather's family, because my Nana was adopted. There wasn't a huge amount of people on that side. But they're all there at the wedding. My dad wears this brown, ugly suit from 1970s. Like it's like the golden age of let's get married in a doo-doo brown suit. And my mom just wore a regular, pretty like off-white dress. I think it was an ivory dress, if I remember right, way before I get pregnant. Way before my mom got pregnant with me. In the process of them dating, getting married, they're living happily in San Francisco, and they love it. They love working for Scientology. They just think that that's the best thing ever. Well, then something happens at the San Francisco org or mission that basically drove my mom to feel like this was not an ethical place to work. And so she had decided that, you know what, she's probably going to join the Sea Org. But let's leave for a little bit and decide if that's what we want to do. So at first, my parents get together. They're working on the outside, and I don't know where they were living at the time because my mom doesn't give me a lot of information. She doesn't like talking about my dad. But he had gotten a job with a Scientology printing company, and he was in sales. Well, my dad can't sell ice to an Eskimo. Like, he could not sell anything. You could walk in and be like, I already know what I want to have printed, and he's going to somehow talk you out of it. He's just not a born salesman. But for some reason, he's a very smooth talker, ladies. I'm just saying, he's a very smooth talker. I wonder where I get it from. So my parents decide that it's time for them to have a baby. Now, I don't know if they were already in the Sea Org because I was told they were already in the Sea Org, but I don't know if she was pregnant when she went in or if they went back to the San Francisco org. But their marriage was crumbling because my mom was working 3 jobs to support them, and my father was working the 1 job and kept handing his paycheck back to his boss saying, you know what, I didn't work hard enough. You can go ahead and keep the money. I didn't work hard enough. And for some reason, because it was a Scientology business, they took the money. And so my mom just kept getting mad because here she was working 3 jobs and he couldn't even hold down 1 job. And then she decided, you know what, I'm going to join the Sea Org. But my father had joined the Sea Org a few months earlier. Now, because I'm trying to give you the best image that I can, the best that I know. My father, from all of his friends, was the kindest, sweetest man. He would basically run to your aid if you need anything. He was just a sweet and gentle soul. He joins the Sea Org. He starts working at Bridge, which is more of the publication side. I believe he was working with the equipment, but I don't actually know. So he would grab me, he would give me a kiss, and he had this giant mustache, more like the Tom Selleck in Magnum PI kind of mustache, but picture it blonde, and then a smoker's section, because my dad was a 2-pack a day Marlboro Red smoker. I mean, back to back to back to back. He also had pretty messed up teeth because he smoked and didn't take care of his teeth. Didn't smile a lot, or if he did smile, it was that. So the mustache covered up everything. But as for a father, he would, besides give me a kiss and give me a hug, he would then throw me on his shoulders and he would hold my legs tight and he'd be like, you know what? I love you, Elizabeth. And then he'd just squeeze and rub my legs. And it was so comforting to have someone tell me that they love me. But he gave the best hugs. Like, he would hug you and it was like you can feel through your back that he was just hugging you for all of your life. And just, you were safe in that moment. You were 100% safe. I didn't get to see my dad a lot because he was a Sea Org member and he was working at Gold, which is the super secretive base. Again, smash subscribe, smash the like, do what you need to do. Be nice to your waiter or waitress. Be nice to everyone in the comments. Remember, we are all human. And I am Liz, signing off, and can't wait to talk to you again later. Have a good day and have a good night.